The New York Mets split the series in London with the Philadelphia Phillies. Did they accomplish what they needed to? Let's talk about it. And well, welcome back to New York Sports Wicker Media. I'm Wa2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. So the New York Mets finished their two-game series in London, facing the team with the best record in Major League Baseball, the now 45-20 Philadelphia Phillies. Mets were a mere 17.5 games back going into the second game today. It is now 16.5 games back as they win this game 6-5. Not that I think the division is in any kind of a race. I'm just making my point. So I want to talk about some of the key moments of this game. But the first thing I want to say is this. To some of my fellow Mets fans, can we stop calling for players to get DFA'd after every single game? First, it's McNeil. Then yesterday, it was Sean Manaea. Today, it was Jose Quintana. You know, Quintana, he wasn't good facing the best lineup in baseball. Okay, it was frustrating to watch him. But again, if you want to trade Quintana and get an asset back, you could get something back for him because he has proven to be a very good second-half pitcher. So let's stop calling with the calls for players to lose their jobs all the time. It's getting ridiculous. But Taijuan Walker, I did not expect him to be as good as he was for 5+ innings. All the way into the 6th inning, the Mets could not touch him. And it was pretty frustrating watching this because Walker has been maybe the most disappointing Philadelphia Phillies starting pitcher in their entire rotation. But he did his job against the Mets, but then the Mets start to chip away at that 3-0 deficit. Credit to Brandon Nimmo. You know, he has not had that great of a year hitting in the 220s, but he got a 2-out single to get the Mets on the board. And the next pitch to jdmartinez. Actually, before I even get to the at-bat, what was Rob Thompson, I think is a good manager, what was Phillies manager Rob Thompson thinking about with runners on second and third, 2 outs? Why didn't they walk Martinez? I think they absolutely should have done that with a lefty on the mound to face DJ Stewart. I'm sure that Carlos Mendoza would pinch hit Harrison Bader. But you know what, in that spot, I think I'd rather face Bader than Martinez. You know, plus at least you're setting up a force out as well. You know, so even if you think Bader is hitting a little better than Martinez, that's fine. But at least you're setting up the force play if you have the bases loaded. So I thought it was a mistake to pitch to Martinez. And sure enough, first pitch double, tie game 3-3. And talking about the 7th inning, I want to walk back what I said yesterday about Starling Marte. I did a 1-minute short video about him not finding that fly ball. Really did cost the Mets the game. That's when the floodgates opened and the Phillies just poured the offense on. Well, in the top of the 7th inning, not that the Mets did much. They didn't score in that inning, but 2 times there were Philadelphia fielders who could not really see a pop-up. So the Philly fielders had the same problems that the Met fielders had. So now that I feel like, you know, we're better informed, you know, after I knocked Marte's defensive effort, I would take that comment back that I made about Starling Marte because he was not the only one who had problems. But in the top of the 7th, the Mets have first and second, nobody out, and Torrens pops up 1 away. Now up come Lindor and Alonso, the top of the order, the 2 superstars that the Mets have to offer. And I'm thinking to myself, these guys need to come through right now because good as they are, how many times have they not come through when they were needed? Matt Strom gets Franciscolindor to fly out. He hit it very well to deep left field, but not quite deep enough. In comes Jeff Hoffman, and Alonso strikes out swinging on a slider that was only about a foot outside. Very, very disappointing at bat by Pete in that spot. And in the bottom of the 7th, when David Dahl, of all people, pinch hitter David Dahl, homers off Dedniel Nunez, man, oh man, I mean, that slider was as hung as it could be. It stayed right over the heart of the plate for a good second. Man, you had to figure it was all but curtains. Like, if it was Harper, fine, that's one thing. But it's David Dahl, for crying out loud. I mean, the Mets were shaping up to be the biggest failure England had seen since their football team lost to Iceland in the Euro Cup, or the biggest failure since Prince Charles' marriages. My gosh. But in comes Reedgarrett with 2 outs. Harper's on first. He walks Alec Bohm, and up comes Nick Castellanos, an RBI machine. And I said, okay, This is where we need the April version of Reedgarrett back. And he struggles to find the strike zone. You know, this lead could not get much bigger than 4-3. But Castellanos gets ahead 2-1, fouls off a 98-mile-an-hour sinker, and then a splitter in the dirt gets him for strike 3. A pitch that was nowhere near the strike zone. Castellanos bit, and the Mets get out of the 7th. So no one reaches base in the 8th inning, and then comes the 9th inning. And in for the Phillies comes Jose Alvarado, or Alvarez as Michael Kay calls him, one of those pitchers you loathe if he's not on your team. Jose Alvarado is like a left-handed Jose Valverde, if you remember the old Diamondbacks closer. Same build, same look, closer, and a whole lot of attitude to go with it. So Tyrone Taylor fights off cutter after cutter. It looked more, instead of a cutter, it looked more like a slider with a vertical break. It was like between a slider and a cutter. I guess it was more of a slutter is what it was. But he works out a walk. Up comes Jeff McNeil, maybe the most maligned Met there is. Hasn't played in several days, and he gets good contact on that ball. Single to center. Big hit for Jeff O'Neill, as Michael Kay called him. Apparently the former Carolina Hurricane and Toronto Maple Leaf has switched from hockey to baseball. I don't know. So it's 1st and 3rd for the Mets, nobody out, and up comes Mark Vientos. He hits a ground ball that Alec Bohm can't barehand at third base. Run comes home, tie game, and I'm feeling pretty good at this point. Now, Luistorrens is up. He attempts to bunt once, which I felt was the right call. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. That's what you do to set it up for the top of the lineup. Didn't look good, so they take the bunt off. He does work out a walk, as Alvarado had a lot of trouble controlling his pitches today. So now it's bases loaded, nobody out, top of the order. Lindor strikes out. He went 0 for 5 in this game. Probably the worst game he has had since moving up to that leadoff spot where he has been really successful. Now Alonso comes up, and I do not have a good feeling about this. And I'm thinking Philadelphia should bring the infield in. Alonso isn't fast, and you have to keep that lead run from scoring. It didn't matter. 2-2 count. Alonso gets drilled on the thigh, and the Mets take a 5-4 lead. So, hey, it's a game-winning RBI. Well, it was shaping up to be. It was a go-ahead RBI. It didn't turn out to be the game-winning RBI. So then with Brandon Nimmo up, a pass ball that was called on JT Realmuto, the catcher, and to me, that pitch was more on Alvarado. The pitch was several feet outside. Realmuto did get his glove on it, but that play would have been very, very difficult. So the ball gets to the backstop, run scores, and then both Nimmo and jdmartinez get retired. To the bottom of the 9th we go. The Mets have a 2-run lead. So Reedgarrett stays in. I was a little surprised about that, but Christian Pache leads off, the 9-hitter. And with the number 9 hitter, I'm thinking you have got to get this guy out before the top of the order comes up. Immediately, before your rear end hit the seat again, line drive up the middle for a single. Then comes up Kyleschwarber, who's 2 for 3 in this game. He pops him up on that splitter that Garrett threw was amazing. It broke not just down, but outside away from Schwarber as well. Then on an 0-2 pitch, he hits Realmuto. And when you hit a batter in that spot, that's bad enough. But to do it on an 0-2 count, ouch. So now you have 2 runners on. Up comes Bryceharper, and you've got to be expecting the worst here. In comes drewsmith to relieve Garrett. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, anybody but Adam Ottavino, I'll take it. There's nobody in this spot who they could put in who I would feel confident with. The lefties had been used. Nunez had been used. It's like, all right, put in drewsmith. First pitch, a bullet to right for a single. It loads the bases and with 1 out. And the strange thing about this is, this might be really surprising. I was almost relieved that it was a single. It loaded the bases. Nobody scored, though. It was basically the same as an intentional walk is what it would have been. But you didn't want Harper to get that extra base hit to drive runners in. And with Bohm and Castellanos coming up, I would dare them to beat me more than I would Bryce Harper. So I was actually not angry. By the way, thank goodness for the Mets, no Trey Turner in the series to lengthen that lineup. But, yeah, Smith was showing even less control than Alvarado did. 1 pitch nearly goes to the backstop. Bohm walks on 5 pitches. A run gets walked in. It's 6-5 Mets, 1 out, bases loaded still. Jeremy Hefner, the pitching coach, does what he needs to do. Comes out for a much-needed conversation. The entire infield joined. I think Mr. Met was trying to get in on the conversation too. And in this spot, with Castellanos up, Smith's got to get ahead quickly. Castellanos is very strikeout prone, but when he's hot, he's hot. He's very difficult to get out. First pitch. A cutter that went right over the heart of the plate that Castellanos just misses. He fouls it off into the stands, and I thought to myself, man, Castellanos had a pitch there that he could have drilled in the gap, which would have won the game. Second pitch fouled off, third pitch fouled off, 0-2 count. The fourth pitch, here it is, a curveball that shatters the bat of Castellanos. The ball trickles maybe 2 feet away towards the first base side in fair territory, and Torrens, the catcher, unbelievable what he did. He had the presence of mind to know the ball was in play. He had the presence of mind to know that it was fair. Then he was able to get to the ball, step on home plate for the force out, then turn his body towards first base to make the next play. Then, this is starting to sound like my cousin Vinny, then, despite probably spraining his ankle as the Phillies runner, as the Phillies runner was sliding right into him, he fires onto first base for the final out of the game. The 2-3 double play by number 13. Put that on the 2024 season highlight reel. It's now about 5 plays long, but the Mets win. They have won 4 out of 5 games, hard as it may be to believe. And again, facing the best team in baseball, they did what they had to do. They got the split they needed, and now it is back to Flushing, back home to face the hapless Miami Marlins for 3 games. 2 out of 3 minimum is needed in the series. Nothing less against this crappy Miami team will be acceptable. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty relieved, especially as annoyed as I was feeling yesterday. The Mets did what they had to do, and I'm feeling pretty good. Now go take care of business against the team that has been a thorn in your side for a long time now. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching. I will see you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair. See you later.